Good day everyone! For this video, we will be talking about the Afro-Asian literature. Particularly, we are going to look back onto the history, know more about the people and their culture, and the writings which depict the continent of Africa, Asia, and some of its countries like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, China, India, Japan, Korea, and Persia. So, are you ready? If yes, then let's get straight into our voyage. African literature. Way back thousands of years ago, approximately during 16th to 19th century, the people of the said continent were happy and contented living a simple life. Even though they lacked resources due to geographical constraint that made them far from civilization, Africans still enjoys their savanna. But this didn't take long when Western colonizers came across. Africans have experienced many hardships which mark their long history. And this has also become the common theme of their literature. They were conquered for slavery in the past, which made them tied into being looked down on and deprived by other races. Millions of African people were enslaved and brought to Western countries around the world. The spreading of African people against their will is referred to as the African diaspora. Some forms of mistreatment they encountered includes African men being forced to do physical works in the agricultural fields, and women, on the other hand, are sold and involved to polygamy. Thus, because of this humiliation and discrimination based on their skin color or race, they express their anguish and protest through their literary works in order to achieve justice and fair treatment from the whites. Despite the bittersweet experiences they had, they still wanted to show how proud they are of being Africans who are obstinate in their flourishing, which are presented in the poems Africa by David Diop, Once Upon a Time by Gabriel Ocara, I Am an African Child by Echo McGred, and the short story Anticipation by Mabel Dove Dankwa. Now, let us move to Egyptian literature. Ancient Egyptian literature is characterized by a wide diversity of types and subject matter. It dates back from the Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, New Kingdom, and Late New Kingdom. Besides the fact that Egypt is known for its hieroglyphs, during the Old Kingdom, the most important works of the period were pyramid texts, which includes non-literary and highly poetic spells, and cannibal texts, a vivid bits of poetry representing the dead kings attaining power in the afterlife by devouring the gods. Middle Kingdom. This is the classic age of Egyptian literature, and among its greatest piece is the Tale of Sinuhe. New Kingdom. During this time, the style of writing has changed, which uses the language of the day that makes the writings more realistic and natural. Some of its famous works are the story of King Apollos and Sekenenre. Late New Kingdom, or known as the Late New Period. Literature differs greatly from the earlier time because it was written in Demiotics, the simplified Egyptian language. Works like Lamentations of Isis and Nephthys and Setna the Magic Book were popular during the period. So, to wrap it up, Egyptian literature is categorized into 5 types, which are religious literature, wisdom literature, love songs, tales, and pessimistic literature. Next, we are road to Arabian literature. The written literature of the Arabs has begun to be known with the collection of the Quran, the sacred book of Islam, which was formed during the 7th century in Arabia. With the spread of the Islamic faith into Asia, Africa, and Europe, the Arabic language soon became a major world language. So, what is distinct with Arabian literature? What Arabs have something for you? Well, Arabs possessed a highly developed poetry composed of recitation and transmitted orally from generation to generation. And here are examples of Arabic poetry, wherein verses are divided into 2 types. First, they have occasion poems, consisting of 2 to 20 lines with the themes about war, revenge, and praise of one's own tribe. Genres of this include the canza or elegy and the qasida, which is an elaborated form of ode that usually has 60 to 100 lines. Themes are about the narrator's exploit, old passion, and description of camp life. For Arabic prose, they always have it in rhymes like saj or rhymed prose, khutbah or formal writings in rhyme style, and mora, an instructive and assuring anecdote. One of the Arabs' great work would be the Arabian Nights or the 1001 Nights, which is a large collection of their story. And the most featured one would be the humorous story of the lady and her 5 suitors. Ni hao, we're on our way to explore Chinese literature. The Chinese literature remains a hidden gem in the rich strata of Chinese culture. As a matter of fact, it is a treasure of very profound works in each dynasty. The splendor of Chinese literature is that it can be used as an escape into a beautiful world and time, a guide for a virtuous living, and a historical map through images and philosophy. Their grandeur of work is defined with the art of teaching, which we are very familiar of as we might get to encounter the golden rule. Do not do unto others what you don't want others do unto you, which is of course stated by Confucius on his work, The Analects. Other works of him are the Great Learning and the Doctrine of the Mean. Also, they have Lao Tzu, which is known by his philosophy on Tao Te Ching, and Sun Tzu's The Art of War, which is also a great quote. Getting further, let's tour to Indian literature. Is one of the world's oldest and richest literature, and it is influenced by the tradition and beliefs of the Indians, wherein the religious doctrine karma, the chain of good and bad action and their inevitable consequences, which results to the repeated life and death of the soul. Also, their literature encompasses the mythology of the dominant Hindu deities, or called the Trimurti. Indian literature is comprised of Sanskrit literature, which includes the 4 Vedas or the Book of Knowledge. It is composed of the fundamental scriptures of the Hindu religion and is used as a sacramental rite for Hinduism. It is a compilation where Rig Veda is the anthology of hymns, Sama Veda as the Book of Chants, Yajur Veda for the prayer books, and Atharva Veda for the Book of Spells. Then, the Tripitaka or the Tree Basket, which consists of the teachings of Buddha. Followed by the classical literature, which was nurtured with the caste system wherein Brahman are the scholars and priests, Kshatriya, the warriors, Vaisya are the merchants, and Sudra, who are the laborers. Medieval literature. Bhakti or devotional literature were prevalent. It is a lyric poem written by authors of the Hindu movement that shows their passionate and emotional devotion for a particular god. Colonial period to independence. British became a colonial power. The colonial government introduced English education for upper-class Indians so that they can serve the colony, and printing press to produce newspapers and journals were also discovered. Some of the notable persons in India who contributed a lot are Mahatma Gandhi. He is the father of modern India who led a campaign for non-violence which he termed as the Satyagraha. He fought to improve the status of Harijans, the untouchables in the society. And Rabindranath Tagore. He is an innovative poet of the Bengali language who draws on traditional poetry and performance. He is renowned as the first non-European winner of the Nobel Prize Award for Literature. Another amazing country to visit is Japan, and we will be delving into their literature. If there is William Shakespeare, the pride of England, who rose to become the greatest writer of all times during the Elizabethan period, did you know that Japanese have their own version of him? And he is none other than Chikamatsu Monsimon, a dramatist of Jorori, which is a Japanese form of puppet theater. Most of the themes of Japanese poems fall under the beauty of nature, and they express this through haiku, a 17-syllable poem of 3 lines arranged in a 5-7-5 metric pattern, and tanka, a 5-line poem which has a count of 5-7-5-7-7, consisting of 31 syllables in total. Are you fond of K-dramas, K-pop songs, or you simply love everything about Korea? Then, come and discover what's behind Hallyu reaching its peak by knowing their literature that's waving at you. Korea's classical poetry are Hyanga, Koyokasa, Siju, Joseonkasa, and Pansori. For their classical prose, they have 2 which are prominent in the country, and it is The Tale of Kumu by Kim Shi-suk and The Tale of Hangidong by Yo Kyun. Their works follow the genres which are lyric, narrative, and dramatic. All of this has its corresponding style, technique, and themes on how they do it. Down to our last and final destination, we have Iran, and we will get to see a glimpse of their Persian literature. Characterized by the following, it is one of the world's oldest literature. Persian literature can be written in Persian language, Arabic, and Greek. Writers of Persian literature may vary, as there are some written in Turkic, Caucasian, and Indic language. Main issues of pre-Islamic was wisdom and rationalism. Goodness and evil was a principal issue that is depicted in books and treatises. Classical poetry is always rhymed. Finally, our trip is over, and I hope this proves how reading, or rather viewing literature, can make us travel around the world. Leaving you with a quote from Anna Kindlin, Books are the plane and the train and the road. They are the destination and the journey. They are home. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have learned something.